This is the last class of the Backend No-Code School Kindergarten course, and we will teach you to show editable data on WeWeb with the GetEditableList API that we made in the previous session. WeWeb is one of the most useful no-code services, just like Editable. It is especially suitable for building a front-end that makes up the screen of the web service with simple settings. In the case of front-end, there are many ways you can configure it depending on the purpose of the service and the user. Therefore, in this class, we would like to focus on the linkage with the previously learned no-code tool, rather than the detailed setting of WeWeb. First, create a workspace from the Login WeWeb dashboard. Select blank as template, and enter GetEditableList as a name. Removes unnecessary elements from the created workspace page. The following tasks are required for future integrations. First, register SyncTree API information to WeWeb to get data from Editable. Second, create elements to expose information on WeWeb. Third, connecting the above two elements. From the first, we will register the API information of SyncTree in the previous class on WeWeb. Click the puzzle-shaped icon in the upper left corner of the screen and select REST API from Data Sources. When you install the REST API plugin, the Add a Collection button becomes active. Write GetEditableList as the name that manages the API we registered. Select the folder you want, which is optional, and click Source, Add New Data Source to select REST API. Select Dynamic Mode, and click Continue to move on to the next step. Enter the API information of the SyncTree that you created in the API portal into the configuration. Method is POST. URL enters the endpoint of the API. Leave the other settings and enable Make this request through a server. If you run Continue, you will check that data will be fetched by calling API normally. Next, create an element to show the fetched data on the WeWeb screen. Press the plus button at the top of the screen and drag and drop the collection list from elements onto the screen. The WeWeb screen that we have configured currently has only the blank area in the body, so the collection list element is created as a supplement of blank. Finally, link API information to the collection list. Select the collection list, and in the specific window on the right, click the outlet icon for items. We will set up a list of API information that we registered here. From the collections below, open GetEditableList Data and select Records for result. Then, click Text in the Collection Item submenu of the collection list. And similarly, specify the value to be displayed in the text in the list imported from GetEditableList data in the right-hand menu. When that is data, field's name is selected. Only the name of the company is fetched from the data in the API and displayed. If you add a new content to the DB as New Company in Editable, you can see that it will take effect immediately if you also refresh on WeWeb. Now, you create your own DB in Editable. Built a very simple web service that was displayed on the screen through WeWeb, using only the no-code tool. You're taking your first step as a citizen developer of no-code. Congratulations to those who have completed the Backend No-Code School Kindergarten course. Through this course, we hope that you have become a little familiar with words such as backend and DB and gained confidence. In fact, WeWeb supports direct connectivity with external services such as Editable and Structured Query Language. In other words, it is possible to establish a connection that is at the kindergarten level. That is, a degree of taking and showing values from DB without using SyncTree. However, as services grow and there are more users, there is more work to be done on the backend, such as defense code for exception situations caused by users' unexpected user experience, validation of request values, access rate limit to control traffic, and API access through authentication. The time will come when you need more backend technologies. SyncTree will do our best to help end users with less development experience build backend services a little easier and faster. In the elementary school course, we are going to have time to try block coding in earnest, while using the blocks provided by SyncTree solution evenly. We hope you had a little beneficial time for everyone. Let's meet on the day the elementary school course starts. Thank you all for your hard work.